Hey guys, I'm reacting to British roads ain't got nothing on America. Now, this does seem to be true just because car culture's a lot uh, more widespread in the US.
Katy Freeway is not the name of a popular girl. For those of you not in the know, Katy Freeway is not the name of a popular girl in high school. It's the name of a freeway in Katy, Texas.
Katie.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to roads, and specifically how British roads ain't got nothing on America. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about the quality of the roads. I mean, I used to live in Indiana. No, in fact, and you can probably see it in my eyes, no surprise, that I'm talking about size. And whoopee-doo, says Uncle Toby, America has bigger roads, so what? It's a bigger country, of course it has bigger roads. But its major roads are big and astonishing in ways that are big and astonishing. I think it was another of my uncles, Dr. Emmett Brown, who said, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. He was from the north of England. But 30 years earlier, when Doc was busy inventing time travel, there was another man who saw things differently. In 1956, several months after Emmett Brown first visualized the flux capacitor, Dwight Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act.
This was kind of unfortunate though. It really made cities less important, made suburban sprawl way more widespread, destroyed cities with, roads going through them. So roads like this are not all good, if anything. It's a lot of bad that comes with it. And it made public transportation less available, less widespread, so
into law. And this authorized the construction of an interstate highway system that would total more than 40,000 miles of road. This absolutely revolutionized US travel to the extent that in America there are 0.84 vehicles for every human and child. In the UK, this number is considerably lower. Of course, there we can
quite unfortunate in the US. I wish we had more public transportation in more areas. Of course, the Northeast and cities are pretty good on public transportation most of the time, but even some cities don't have good public transportation, and a lot of the rural US does not have good public transportation.
Partially rely on a comprehensive nationwide transit system. In the US,
I wish we had that.
Yes, for reasons that I delved into in a previous video and which I will link to at the end of this one, the nation's transit system is not as far-reaching, and this was a big shock to me when I first moved to the United States. And so when I realized early on that you couldn't get everywhere by train or boat or flying DeLorean, I immediately realized that Uncle Doc was
well, if you live in a city, you're pretty much covered. I mean, at least like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, you're covered at least with that.
Full of Not only did America have a lot of interstates and existing routes, but they were bloody big buggers. Let's take a look at how some of the longest roads in America compare to those in Britain. Just this morning I had the urge to hitchhike in the manner of an 80s movie protagonist from Chicago to Seattle. And then I remembered that this was a terrible idea and that my remains would be found in a barn in Montana. But yay to America's interstates, because you can do that, the driving, not the hitchhiking. Specifically in this case, we're talking I-90, and if you know anything about your American interstates, Interstate 90 doesn't just run from Chicago to Seattle. Your journey, not to be confused with the band of the same name, to Seattle via Chicago, not to be confused with the band of the same name, starts in Boston, not to be confused with the band of the same name. And that takes in a staggering 3,000 miles of road. And it's not even the longest road in America. That accolade goes to US Route 20. Running from Boston to Newport, Route 20 is 3,365 miles. Britain's longest road is the A1, not to be confused with the British-Norwegian boy band of the same name.
Oh, A1 steak sauce.
Same. Or the steak sauce. The point is, at 410...
A1 steak sauce is apparently like HB Brown.
10 miles in length from London to Edinburgh, the A1 is considered by most Brits, myself included, to be a considerably long distance. But again, Britain is much smaller than America. This makes sense. The thing that really stands out to me here is that our longest road doesn't go coast to coast. But even if it did, if it went from John O'Groats to Land's End, that would still only be about a quarter of the distance of US Route 20. And I think before I moved to the US, I wasn't quite aware that you could make a straight shot from the East Coast to the West Coast along a multiplicity of roads. And I confess I only included this sentence so I could use the word multiplicity and as clarification so that I could say it again. On top of
And multiplicity. Let's see what it really means too, because I'm not exactly sure. Multiplicity. Multiplicity is the quality or state of being multiple or various, the number of components in a system. Okay. Interesting. Understood.
Of all of this I learned today, the United States co-hosts the Pan America Highway. And the Pan America Highway spans both continents of the Americas to form an unfathomably large
Amazing. That's really cool.
highway network that traverses Alaska to Argentina. At 19,000 miles, it's a 13th of the distance from the Earth to the Moon and is the longest of its kind in the world. But as I tell myself
amazing.
often, not everything comes down to length. Sometimes we have to consider this.
What
do you think of when you think of British roads? Do you think of those adorable and quaint country roads
I've heard those are annoying to drive, those windy and thin roads.
that can barely fit a tricycle? If so, you've never been on the M25. At this point, the M25 motorway is more or less the de facto border of London. And due to the increased traffic of the capital, at its widest, it has a whopping 12, 6 in each direction.
It makes sense for a road area just to like go around the city, not go through the city. In my opinion, I think some American cities have roads that go through them, which do not make any sense. It should be around the city. It should it should be making walking easier. Walking should be the preferred method in cities, not driving.
Direction.
I wish walking was more prized in the US than driving. Walkability is important.
Huge, right?
Let's go back to see what that said. The M61 has even more lanes. At its widest, it is 18. Neat.
Huge, right? America laughs. Multi-lane roads of these proportions are as common in the United States as oxygen. Some are considerably wider even than that. Take, for example, the Katy Freeway. For those of you not in the know, Katy Freeway is not the name of a popular girl in high school. It's the name of a freeway in Katy, Texas. At its widest, and this is completely a little bit insane,
does things big.
26 whole lanes. Sure enough, when it comes to roads, and as it happens,
I know China has a lot, like really big roads as well.
You don't mess with Texas, as evidenced by these. Here's a fun fact. Ever heard of the term Spaghetti Junction? Well, despite its name, it did not originate in Italy.
Spaghetti Junction.
Nor, like a lot of Italian food, did it originate in the United States. It originated in Britain.
Because there's a lot of Italian immigrants, Like spaghetti and meatballs are American. They're invented in New York. Although there might be a similar thing in Italy, but it's really small meatballs in southern Italy. But yeah, spaghetti and meatballs are American, invented in New York. Like a lot of things, German chocolate cake is also American. Just the guy had the last name German. A lot of things.
In the mid-1960s, Spaghetti Junction was the nickname used by journalists to describe Gravelly Hill Interchange. And this is perhaps Britain's most famous interchange and, at a reported 5 levels, one of its tallest. But in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, 5-level interchanges are just another part of the scenery. None more notably than the comically named High Five Interchange. It's like a high five. You won't be doing much of that on this interchange. The point is, it's the tallest one in the world.
Damn.
And insanely large spaghetti servings aren't just unique to Texas. You'll find them in a multiplicity of cities, most famously Los Angeles, where I'm told the traffic is so congested, it's almost neck and...
They need better public transportation there in Los Angeles. Yeah. And in California, they need better public transportation, honestly.
Neck with that of my channel. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Lost in the Pond. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite humongous road. And if you like what
about roundabouts?
you see here on Lost in the Pond and you
I heard those are pretty common in the UK as well. Although I think they might call them something else.
Want to read my words in my voice? Then do so.
Let's see. Roundabouts is a roundabout is a type of circular intersection or junction in which road traffic is permitted to flow in one direction around the central island, and priority is typically given to traffic already in the junction. Engineers use the term modern roundabouts to refer to junctions installed after 1960 that incorporate various design rules to increase safety. Yeah. Stuff like that. Quite common. I think maybe not in all areas of the US, but at least in the Northeast, they're quite common, I think so. Yep. Although they don't always look like this per se. But yeah. Anyway, enjoyed the video. You know, it's quite enlightening. Let's see. Yeah, time for my favorite Manhattan traffic joke. What do you mean it took you 4 hours to get across town? I did it in 20 minutes. Big deal, you walked. Yeah, walking. Much easier in New York, yeah. It should be easier. That was a fun video though. If you enjoyed my reaction, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and comment down below with your thoughts and recommendations. Bye bye.